Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're having a good weekend and enjoying a bit of sun where you are. It's it's quite a nice weekend here. So yeah, it's gonna be good. We just finished for the weekend. So thanks for coming to watch this live today. The title of the live, which you'll probably know if you've been watching, if you're here, is how did I start a profitable business selling one car a month? How did I start a profitable business doing that and turn it into what it is now? The reason that I decided to talk about this is because I've been asked loads of times, but I seem to have been asked 3 or 4 times over the last few weeks. How did I know when it was time? How do people know when it's time to take that plunge and start a business? And whether it's people that are in the automotive industry or not, it seems like a step that a lot of people get to and they don't get across the line. And so if I can help with that, then all the better. So I'm going to tell you 2 things in this live. The first is going to be the story of how I started the business that I'm in and what were those very first steps when I took the plunge and how did that work. And the other thing I'm going to do, which will be super useful, is I'm going to tell you what I learned doing that, and when I've launched other brands since then, what did I learn from the first time that has made the second time and third time and fourth time easier and a lot faster to do. So before I start all of this, I always think it's really important to say that in absolutely no way at all do I think I'm any smarter than anybody that hasn't done this, that's thinking about doing it. It is nothing to do with being smart or not being smart. It is just the knowledge that you get from experience. And you can't go out and buy experience. You can't, I can give you great tips, but what I've learned is just what I've learned because I've done it. It's not because I'm any smarter. So don't ever think that when you look at somebody and want to get into doing the things that they're doing. So yeah, I started the business about 10 years ago. So I've probably mentioned before, but now we've got sort of 20 staff. We sell hundreds of thousands of pounds in cars and restoration every week, millions of pounds every year. And I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I get paid for something that I absolutely love doing. So when I started the business, it was 10 years ago. I started it at the point that I took the plunge and I moved into a unit and took the commitment of a monthly bill of a unit and the things that went with it. I had one single car. I had a business account with £5,000 in it. I had a little bit of my money as well that I could use to fall back on to live on. And I had 0 experience. So I'd done the things that everybody does when they were young. I'd glued spoilers onto Astra GTEs and that type of thing. But I haven't got any mechanical training. I had no business training, anything like that. So there wasn't anything that had equipped me for it. For the first sort of 18 months, it was just me. I just did one car at a time, and my unique selling point was that I was going to add value. So that's now turned into much more in-depth restorations, but it was just about doing them as well as I could and doing a bit more. If something needed doing, then I would definitely do it, and I would thoroughly go through the car. It definitely wasn't just PDI stuff. Initially, we didn't lose money, but it was really hard to make money. It was definitely a squeeze, but over the first year, it started to become profitable. It wasn't massively profitable. It was a small wage, but it was money. There was money being made. There was like a point, like a seesaw point where it absolutely took off. And once I learned that, I knew that was it. It was I'd figured it out, and that was that I don't have to compete on price, and I absolutely live by that now. Is the backbone of our company. When you fall into that trap when you're a small business and you're starting out. You fall into that trap of thinking, well, if I had a showroom and it was full of Ferraris, I could charge more money, but I don't. I've got to compete with the other cars that I see on Gumtree that people are selling private sale from their house. And when you get past that, that's when things are, are a lot easier. I believed and said for a long time that in car sales you made money or you slept at night, and it was either one or the other, and that was absolutely wrongly what I believed, because once I realised that wasn't the case, once I fully understood that, it absolutely took off. And now, 9 years after that, we've had a waiting list the whole time. So our key product is to source a car, restore the car, and sell someone the car. And when I say sell, you pay for it before. You pay for it along the journey, so we're not out of pocket. But I wouldn't be able to give that to people and supply them with their dreams if I hadn't have realised. People think it's bad and people hate car dealers for making money, but that's what it has to be about. Otherwise, you just close. That's what happens. At the moment, we have a year's wait for that if you came in and wanted to buy one, and we'd probably charge twice what someone else doing the same thing would. And it's worth that. It is good value. And when I realised that was what absolutely, made things take off. Obviously, the journey went on from there, and it went from 1 car a month, 2 cars, parts development, export, all of those different things that we do now, and then carried on to the point we're at now. But I want to sort of focus on that first bit. So what I want you to be able to get out of me telling you that is what you could do. What could you do that would absolutely allow you to do it faster than we do it, than I've done it, basically. Because there are definitely things that I do now that I didn't do then. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about this, and I've looked into it a little bit, what other people say. How do they know when is it time to take the plunge? When is it time to start a business when you're thinking about it? And lots of the things I read said, you just know. And I thought, you know what, that's shite. It's no good for you. I think that the thing is that you do have to have that. You do have to be questioning, is it time to take the step and to start a business? But you need a lot more than that. You need to be able to stimulate all the parts of your mind, or it will never work for you. So to teach you it fully, it would take me a couple of days, but I'll give you a breakdown of the sort of 3 main things that I think that are important if you're at that stage where you're thinking, is it the time to start a business? Can I make some money doing this? So firstly, and the bit that is hardest to teach, is you do need that creative idea. You do need to have the how, where, what type of thing going on. So for me, and I saw somebody just posted a question about this, is that for me, I was doing JDM cars. So I was doing Skylines and Mazda Bongos and Pajeros. And then shortly after I started the business, I got into Nissan Figaros, and they're the one where I really managed to I really saw a gap there and really managed to wind it up. And that was my sort of creative idea. The second thing you need is you do need that feeling. You do need that, is it time? That I'm stood on the edge of a cliff, is it time to step over the cliff and get on with it? You do need that. And the other thing that you need, which is the thing that I definitely didn't have at all, and now when I've done it again and again since then, I do, and it makes the world of difference, is you really have to have a proper, detailed business plan. And that's really important. And again, that's something that's really detailed, but I'll rattle through it quickly now and try and give you a bit of idea of the main sort of pieces that you'd want to have in that. Okay, so yeah, the 5 main things, if you're thinking about this, that you'd want to have in a business plan. So firstly, you need to know everything that needs doing every month. And by that, I mean that even if there's just one of you, which there probably will be to start with, you need to record everything down. You need to have the hat on that does everything. You need to be the person that does the site maintenance. You need to be the person that does the cleaning, all of those different bits. And you need to write down that every task needs doing. It's much more important than you think. When I got into it and I thought, well, I'll just pay the rent and the rest of it will work itself out. It doesn't. That's important. You've got to have a USP. Nobody is successful at anything and they just do everything. It doesn't work like that. And customers don't buy into it. So you've got to have a USP, and that's something that you have to come up with. The other thing that really helps you is to know your costs. When you're at that point where you're debating whether to do it or not, you need to know what are the costs. So what are the costs of startup, and how much money do I need to put in the bank every month to be able to do it. The other thing that's really important when you're taking that plunge from going to not running a business to running a business, and you haven't got the financial cushion of a company, is how much money you need to live on. So when you work all this other stuff out the back of it, you will see how much you need to live on for you and your dependents, and so you can be comfortable about that, because the things that I'm telling you here are just about stimulating your mind, because it's no good in having hundreds and hundreds and millions of people have ideas, but they don't action them. And it's not because they're not able to run those businesses, it's just that they haven't got all the steps in place so that their mind lets them get on with it. And so that's why that's sort of, really important as well. Like I said, there's loads more detail to a business plan, but those are the four main items. The last thing is the way that I put it together in my mind, which is just like a massive chessboard with lots of the bits that you have to do every month. And as long as you tick all of those boxes, you put customers in the top and money and happy customers come out the bottom. And that sounds really simplified, but if you think of it like that, for me anyway, it works and makes it a lot easier. So I know those points for that business plan were a bit complicated and a bit rattled through, but do message me or comment or come to me about it, because the reason I post this stuff, I do want to hear what you have to say and if you find it interesting. So anybody wants to message me about any of it or leave any comments, I'm more than happy. And the people that have commented while we've been on, I'll come back in a minute and I'll answer the questions that you've put on as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's a sort of brief overview of my story and how it started. And I really hope that if one person that watches this finds it useful and manages to take that plunge off the back of it, then it was worth me doing it. But yeah, please comment, message me. I'd appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Have an amazing weekend. Bye.